Welcome to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend, Matt.
So the Nickelodeon show Drake and Josh came out when I was about 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the Amanda Show when I was on. And I knew that Drake and Josh were like people on the Amanda Show. But what I didn't like when they got like their own show, like from the Amanda Show, for some reason I thought it was like real life,
Right?
Because it wasn't like on a soundstage. So like whenever they would advertise a new episode, I thought that you had to watch it live because it was literally like just a live stream of their life at that time, during that half hour.
Fair.
So like if you missed it, you didn't get it. You like didn't get to watch it. What I didn't realize is I didn't put together that actors exist, even though like I knew that actors existed, but for some reason like just didn't thought that because that was their real names, that was like actually them.
Right.
But they showed like previews for the episode, which can't happen like if something's live.
Right. No, yeah. This is these are things that Nickelodeon is projecting is going to potentially happen in their lives, and it just so happens. It's wild that they know that's exactly
it just so happens,
moment.
And it's exactly the same, and they came in to film it earlier,
Yeah, exactly.
But I very specifically remember, that's a cool episode about the ATV. That was episode 2 or 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh man, I can't watch that episode. I really wanted to, or fucking dune buggy, not an ATV. But yeah. Not the smartest moment in my life.
Sure. I mean, granted, there is definitely, some overlap in personalities, between their characters and who they were actually in real life.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they were definitely different. And it's just kind of wild the stuff that has transpired after that show, where Josh Josh seems like a decent person and Drake does not.
Nope, nor does the creator of the show.
Nor does the creator of the show at all.
That's a whole other thing that's happening.
Yeah. It's a mess.
I would like to take this time to plug Quentin Review's iCarly rewatch series, where he has done 2 videos on iCarly, 2 videos on Victorious, and one in the progress video on Sam and Cat. It takes a lot of fucking time. It's been going on for a couple of years. If you watch Nickelodeon around the late aughts, early 2010s, you should check out his videos. They're very good.
Yeah. That was definitely my shit for many years. Were those I don't know, teen focused sitcoms, however you would put it. They're very much a big part of my life. But Matt, it's good to see you, because it's been a long time since I last talked to you.
Yep.
The last episode was our pre-draft episode, and you were not part of that. In fact, I should ask how you are, because you
never invite me to those.
Well, I did though, but you said that you were caught up with a bunch of snakes in your home, and I just want to kind of come back and ask, how did you handle the snakes that were in your house?
I got rid of all of them.
Oh, great! I was really hoping you would elaborate, or at least yes and me a bit here.
All the snakes are gone. They have been rehabilitated.
Oh, rehabilitated.
They were on hard drugs.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So I sent them to rehab.
Okay.
I sent them to rehab.
Okay. Well, at least they're getting help.
They're doing better. There were some lawn snakes.
Really long snakes.
Really long snakes.
And Remy was fine after the ordeal.
Remy was fine. The snakes and Remy almost didn't. They almost it was almost like neither of them knew that the other existed. Remy did not know the snakes existed. Okay. The snakes did not know Remy existed.
Okay, fair. Well, at least you stopped the snakes. You got your internet restored, because I believe that was the reason why I gave them on the podcast. And so, sorry that you missed out on Chet being here again. But all I could say is I definitely, Chet was not the reason why the snakes were in your home in the first place. as far as I know. All right.
Did Chet unleash the snakes in my home?
That's, you didn't hear it from me. All right, I am definitively saying on the record that Chet Avery did not unleash snakes in your home.
Know.
But that
guy sounds really fucking suspicious, Chris.
But that's just me speaking that on the record, that I am saying definitively that Chet Avery did not put snakes in your home.
Oh.
Welcome everyone to the Virtual Love Boys podcast. It's been a bit as per usual with the off season. Obviously we're busy doing other stuff, not as focused on the football side of things. But hopefully that will we'll be shifting focuses here soon. Later this month. My hope is that we can get everyone organized to do their drafts for the VBBFL season. We will try and see how much of the I think if we're consistent with it, we could probably do an entire VBBFL season during the summer. We'll see. I mean, Obviously anything can happen, but I think what would be even great is that if things work out, we might even have one in-person VBBFL session. We'll see how it goes.
Potentially.
Nothing. Potentially. We don't want to promise anything, but anyways, so these are all things that are on the table for Virtual Ball Boys moving forward. But for now, we want to, of course, recap the things that we missed. And later in the episode, we're going to do a likability ranking of the NFL teams. How you want to interpret likability is up to you. And we'll talk about our individual interpretations of said likability on the podcast. Later on. So now, before we do that, let's go back a few weeks now. We are at the end. We're recording this on May 12th. Happy Zelda Day, by the way. We're recording this on May 12th. The schedule just dropped. We'll talk about the schedule in a bit. But 2 weeks prior, we had the NFL draft, and we had an exciting, I think, first round. And so let's just go through. We'll handle it in 5 pick spurts, and then we'll talk about it. Number 1 overall pick, Carolina Panthers. It felt like the momentum was in this direction, and it turns out that was the case. Bryce Young is the new franchise quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. He was picked number 1. Number 2 is the Texans. They picked. There was a lot of question whether or not they were going to pick a defensive player. They're going to pick a quarterback. C.J. Stroud picked a quarterback, or rather, Texans picked C.J. Stroud as their quarterback, and it is now the franchise face. But the Texans were not done. There's a lot of question about if the Cardinals would trade out of the 3rd overall pick, and they did with the Texans. And the Texans decided to get their franchise defensive player in Will Anderson, a big risk, but at the same time, the quarterback of the future and the defensive player of the future. We'll see if things work out for the Texans. Then at number 4, the Colts, who were expected to pick a quarterback, did pick one, and it was Anthony Richardson out of Florida. A fun, exciting pick there. And then number 5, the Seattle Seahawks, with one of the a little bit of a shocker here. Devin Witherspoon from Illinois goes number 5 overall. Was not expected to go that high necessarily, but
he was expected to go number 6. So
right. I mean, it wasn't that far off, but there was still quite a few names on the board that could have gone at 5, and no one really had Devin Witherspoon pegged to the Seahawks. But there you go. He is now a Seahawk. Matt, what's your reaction with those first 5? Or you don't even have to comment on all 5. Whatever you want to talk about here.
Yeah, I mean, quarterbacks make sense. I really like that move by the Texans to go up and get Will Anderson. They got a great quarterback and probably the best player in the draft available.
Yeah.
So really, really great on them. I really liked that move. And then the Seahawks getting Devin Witherspoon. I've been the biggest fucking Devin Witherspoon supporter since he's an Illinois grad. And to see him go that high, and the fact that he's going to have this amazing role in Seattle and really increase the way that I think Seattle's going to play this season. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I think it's hard with the draft because I feel like we all want to nitpick everything out of the gate, because you never know what's going to work out, what's not. I like that the Texans were aggressive, and I feel like that's something that I feel like the Texans have been really lacking a personality over the last few years. I mean, they were the Deshaun Watson team before Deshaun Watson had everything that happened to him, and then what he did, I should say, and then of course, got traded to the Browns, and then of course, it's just been kind of like a really not a fun team to watch, one of the worst teams in the league. Been a rough go of it for the Texans. To see this aggressive move to get like two potentially franchise players, I liked it. There were some people who were like a little bit critical of it, especially with how much they gave up to move up to number 3. But I don't know, man. If Will Anderson works, I don't see it as a bad move at all.
No.
And I think my favorite of the quarterbacks in this draft is probably Anthony Richardson, just because I feel like he is the most potential for fun. And I like that the Colts picked him at number 4. I mean, I think, again, right now, on paper, all these quarterbacks look like they're going to work out in their situations. So we'll see how it goes. Number 6, the Cardinals traded back up to then select Paris Johnson Jr. The Detroit was the holder of the 6th overall pick. Now it's the Cardinals. So Paris Johnson Jr., the first offensive tackle off the board. Then Las Vegas Raiders selected Tyree Wilson, who was projected to go as high as number 2. And then Bijan Robinson, a running back, going into the top 10. Oh, the draft nicks clutching their pearls over a running back going to the top 10. But the Falcons go big there. The Eagles then drafted Jalen Carter, defensive tackle out of Georgia. And then the Bears select Darnell Wright, offensive tackle out of Tennessee, the second offensive tackle off the board. What do you think of those 5?
I think they're good. I think the Bears trading back. I think that Darnell Wright was the right decision for them there, just kind of based on how their line is right now. Like, love that pick from the Bears. Nothing like flashy, but O-line picks rarely are. Right. If Paris Johnson fell there, then that would have been amazing. But I'm totally okay with it.
A little surprised they didn't go Skoronski, but I also I don't know. That's just based off of. I feel like Skoronski was like the one that people were talking about a lot.
Yeah, he was definitely the most mocked there, I think.
Yeah.
The one thing, I cannot fucking believe the Atlanta Falcons. So, they have spent the past 3 drafts on offensive weapons with Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan Robinson.
Right.
In the top 10 picks. And the Bijan one, for me, is the fucking, this is the straw. This is the straw that breaks it. Especially with a running back. Kyle Pitts and Drake London, great players. Even Bijan, obviously, phenomenal player. And for fantasy football purposes, Bijan Robinson is going to be lights out. However, look at what taking Christian McCaffrey did for the Panthers. Look at what taking Leonard Fournette did for the Jaguars. Look at what taking Saquon Barkley did for the Giants. None of those teams, when they took their running back that high, were able to turn it around because of the running back. Yeah, Jaguars made the playoffs with Fournette, right?
But that had so much more to do with their defense, though.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
A great running back only improves a team if that team is already great to begin with. I will use Christian McCaffrey as an example again, because when he went to the 49ers were already a great team and a really good offense, and Christian McCaffrey put them over the top. Bijan Robinson is a great running back. Holy shit, is he not going to help the Falcons offense?
Yeah, and I think there's been a lot of credit given to the Falcons this offseason for really investing a lot in a whole lot of players during free agency, and maybe if you look deeper into the draft, we're not like I don't know. I don't think we're gonna go too far. I'm not gonna go through all the rounds. I don't think I'm really just gonna stick with round one, and we'll see if anyone else comes out, right? But it's weird because like I kind of was rooting for Bijan Robinson to be drafted in the top 10 because I just think it would be chaotic, and I kind of like the idea that the Falcons would have a guy like him, but I just think the problem is that you already kind of had a guy, now I'm gonna forget that Tyler Algier. Yeah, like I think like he was kind of starting to pop off near the end of the season, especially.
He was like the Falcons rookie running record. Record.
So it just felt like a very strange pick in that sense, and then to your point, like it has been the Falcons, I feel like, have been the biggest team. The biggest crime that they keep on committing to me is the fact that they draft these talented players, but then don't utilize those players well. And I think, I'm just thinking about Kyle Pitts in that instance.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I just feel like, do we trust them to then use Bijan well? Like I don't know. It's been 2 years of this Falcons regime, and I just feel like at some point something needs to start clicking for this team, and they did feel like this was this off season for them to go all in and figure out a way to get in a good place. But I'm not trusting the Falcons enough right now where I'm like, well, that's your final piece, Bijan Robinson. That's going to get you guys over the top. I just don't know. I don't think the rest of the roster is good enough. Specifically, the defense. I don't know if it's good enough. But
so the NFC South sucks, right? So like anything can happen there.
100%.
Like would you have been better if you took that pick plus next year's? I'll just use this as an example. Bijan Robinson and next year's first round pick for Lamar Jackson. Would you do that?
Yeah, I would have done it.
Yeah.
That's the most fascinating aspect to me is, and I should say, like they did get better in their secondary. Like they there's a lot of things the Falcons did this offseason, and so we'll see when it comes to, maybe we'll look back at this and be like, oh, maybe things are looking better. But yeah, quarterback's just is definitely the biggest, another big glaring thing where it's like, hey, I guess if you trust Desmond Ridder to work for you, that's fine. I mean, I think
we're spending a lot of time on the Falcons.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. Hey, we're not gonna go too much longer here. But I was gonna say that it seems like a lot of people are trying to get Ryan Tannehill now that Will Levis is there. And by the way, we're not gonna get to it, but Will Levis was did fall out of the first round. Got drafted in the second round by the Titans. If they do decide to trade Ryan Tannehill, the Titans, I mean, the Falcons just feel like the right spot with Arthur Smith there. So we'll see if it ends up going in that direction. I think that was the biggest, most notable pick here. Jalen Carter to the Eagles just feels unfair.
He's getting sued by the father of someone who was killed in the crash. So
we'll see. We'll see how that ends up. All right, number 11, the Titans picked Skoronski, as we mentioned earlier. The Lions, with their first pick, take Jahmyr
Gibbs. Oh my God!
Why did I say Gibbs?
I don't know, because it's a G next to an A. But hey, Chris, how do you say the moving picture file? Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh, I see.
GIF.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see.
That's the debate. But his name is Gibbs. Another like wild move, because they just like signed David Montgomery to a great contract, and they could have like used this on literally anything else. But they really like him, so he's gonna get a lot of use.
And they trade DeAndre Swift to the Eagles. Another thing that just again feels like the Eagles are loading up. But yeah, what a bizarre start to the round to the draft for the Lions. The Packers drafted Lucas Van Ness. Steelers drafted Broderick Jones, and New York Jets drafted Will McDonald. And this is where I want to insert the fact that before the draft, a day before the draft, I want to say, a couple days before the draft, the Aaron Rodgers got the trade that he wanted. Essentially, the Jets and Packers agreed on a deal, and now Aaron Rodgers is in New York. He's officially the Jets quarterback, so that whole storyline is done and over with, or at the very least the negotiation side of things is over with. What did you take from that trade, or just in general with Rodgers now being in New York?
I think it makes sense. I'm glad that we can talk about it and not have it as much of a Rodgers power trip
if it
anymore.
Happens, yeah.
It happened.
Yes, it happened.
He's in a different shade of green.
Yes,
it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I guess I'm disappointed that it had to come to this for the Jets, but at the same time, it's like
they are actually doing something at quarterback,
right? And they needed to, and this is as much as all right, you know who this guy is in terms of his play. You know that he has in the last 5 years has 2 or 3 MVPs, whatever it is.
I will say, the Packers organization missed the chance to do the funniest fucking thing possible and draft a wide receiver.
That was the biggest disappointment.
It's the most disappointing part about the draft is that Jackson Smith-Njigba is not a Packer.
Now in the second round, they did take a tight end, but that's just the comedy effect.
Well, I mean, they took Christian Watson in the second round last year. Second round doesn't fucking matter. It's that first round pedigree.
Yeah.
That Rodgers has never had.
Yeah, no, they stick with, you know what though, in a weird way I kind of respect it that they're like, you know what, we're sticking with our laurels and saying that we'd rather just keep on beefing up our defense in the first round. But now the pressure's on for that Packers defense to be amazing, that they need that defense to be spectacular next year, along with Jordan Love, who of course that's going to be the Packers have now for me become so fascinating. I'm like, what's going to happen? There's so many interesting question marks around them. I'm excited to see what Jordan Love does. I'm not saying that he's going to be great. I'm just more the intrigue of the whole thing is very fascinating. And then moving, we'll move through this quicker here. Washington Commanders Emmanuel Forbes, New England Patriots, Christian Gonzalez falling to the Patriots. That was a shocker.
Absolutely.
And that was wild. Detroit Lions took Jack Campbell, another weird pick. Buccaneers took Kalijah Cansey. Seahawks take the first wide receiver off the board with Jackson Smith-Njigba. And then Los Angeles Chargers, Quentin Johnston. And then Baltimore Ravens take Zay Flowers, who will be receiving passes from Lamar Jackson, because another thing that happened right on the day of the first round was Lamar Jackson finally signing his contract and getting the pay that he deserves, breaking the record for highest paid player in NFL history, shortly after Jalen Hurts did it a week prior, which kind of now makes sense that maybe Lamar Jackson was just holding out for one of these other quarterbacks to get their contract, and then the Ravens just were like, all right, cool, we'll just do that. Whatever it is, Lamar Jackson stays a Raven. Are you happy, Matt?
Yes, I am. For many reasons, fan of Lamar, fan of the Ravens. I don't need to buy a new jersey now.
Yeah.
Stability on my fantasy team. This Ravens roster feels
good,
really, really solid. I think the young players with Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers, no fucking idea what Odell's gonna be like, but he's there at least. Mark Andrews, I think
he's gonna be a good complimentary player. I think that's where he's at this point.
Yeah. And I think that as long as the Ravens stay healthy, that's going to be their only crutch this season is they got to stay healthy.
Yep, 100%.
If that happens, they're Super Bowl contenders.
One of the big off-season things was that NFLPA report about how teams were treating their players and the players were graded them, and I'm pretty sure the Ravens had a really poorly graded medical department. I'm not entirely concrete on that, but something about that came out of that report, and you just have to hope that they take that criticism and that feedback and they revamp things there, because it has been too really rough downfalls near the end of football seasons for them. Vikings took Jordan Addison. New York Giants took Deonte Banks. Bills took Dalton Kincaid, which that also felt like, god damn.
Oh my god.
What a pick.
Them jumping the Cowboys to get him specifically was really funny.
It was very good. Cowboys got Mozzie Smith, Jacksonville Jaguars, Anton Harrison with offensive tackle. Miles Murphy, defensive end, went to the Bengals. Brian Brees to the Saints. Nolan Smith to the Eagles. That also was kind of like a major fall for Nolan Smith, and he landed with the Eagles, who are becoming Georgia East.
Listen.
Georgia
the
Northeast.
Eagles have a great thing in plan, or great plan in place. They got the Georgia defense and the Alabama offense.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing, and it's gonna work for them.
It might actually work out.
It's really working for them. Just draft all the Georgia players.
Yeah.
Hurts and Smith on offense. Like,
and then the final pick of the first round was Felix and Nudike Uzuba. I hope I pronounced that right. Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. I mean, like if you go deeper into the second round, like. Joey Porter Jr. was a projected first-round pick. He went to the Steelers, and that where his father played, so that's a fun little reunion thing. The Lions, weirdly again, drafted Sam Laporta over Michael Mayer for tight end, but sure, whatever. Michael Mayer did end up going to the Raiders in the next pick. Hunter, who's the Hendon Hooker? That's who I was looking.
Hendon Hooker, yes.
Hendon Hooker went to the Lions, so that was their rookie pick.
And I kind of like that. I think it's the perfect spot for him because it's totally possible for like Jared Goff to continue like having an amazing season and an amazing career with the Lions right now.
Yeah.
While Hendon Hooker gets better, Hendon Hooker will not play this season.
Yeah.
But you know, if Goff doesn't work out, then you have Hendon Hooker. You can see what you have with him, and then you can move from there. I think that it's a win-win for the Lions right now.
100%.
That aspect of the draft is good. Don't necessarily feel that way about Gibbs, but
yeah, I mean, I think people were complimenting the Lions back half of the draft more than the front half.
Yeah.
So I mean, look, the roster's fine right now. Like the Lions are in good shape. So it's just sometimes you have. Sometimes drafts look very weird on paper and then they work out, or vice versa. It's just how this sort of thing goes. So, all right, yeah. I mean, unless you want to point out another draft pick, I have nothing else more to say about the NFL draft.
Nope. I am all good. I don't know who I'm fucking picking in my Dynasty rookie draft yet. Because it's like, you know, like, okay, first pick is going to be Bijan, second picks are going to be like Jordan Addison or Jackson Smith and Jigba. After that, who fucking knows?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I if I had to say just surface level, whose draft I liked a lot. I kind of like the Seahawks draft.
Seahawks and Steelers, I think, are the two strongest drafts. Steelers had a really fucking good draft.
Yeah, really good. Fantastic draft. A lot of fun. But yeah, that's just surface level. We'll see how it works.
Yep.
Let's go to the schedule release, because that was really the only other major thing that happened. I guess we could bring this up as the day that we're recording this, and we did, I think, maybe we didn't address it because this has been kind of like in the works, but this is maybe now more confirmation today that the Commanders are that Dan Schneider is selling the Commanders, and that's
fucking riddance.
The era of the Commanders is going to be over and done with. I have to wonder, Matt. Do you think, and this is besides the point, because obviously Dan Schneider, a terrible fucking human being.
Snyder.
Whatever.
They're both terrible. We have to distinguish them.
You know what? I don't need to even acknowledge either of them at this point. They're going to be out of our lives very soon.
Yep.
Dan Snyder is a horrible human being, but just to talk about the funner side of things in terms of like what new ownership could do. Do you think they would change the name of the Washington Commanders at this point?
It would be the funniest possible outcome, so I want them to.
Because I feel like, I don't know, man. I would love to ask. Here's the thing. I would love to ask Washington fans, but I'm also scared that some of them would be like, I want to go back to the racist name. It's like, all right,
no,
great, cool.
So, yeah. I mean, like, so, I think if you ask a normal one...
Yeah.
I think that they would say... like, if you ask, like, you know, someone in their 70s, they may say that. But I think anyone 45 and under, like, is mostly in agreement that, like, that was not a good name. However, I think if you ask anybody, they would say that the Commanders is a really bad name. So...
No, it's bad. Not granted. We're not saying it's worse. But
not worse than the...
We're just saying that it's just
not
not
worse,
a great...
Not worse
not
than
like
the
an amazing
racial
upgrade.
slur. But it's not a good team name. So
right.
I would be all for the change.
Yeah. I'm hopeful that's
it would just be it would just be funny that it like happened so quickly.
Yeah. So, but yeah, now we can hopefully the Commanders could be not a laughing stock of the league. But that's just the hope. Because goddamn, their owner was trash. All right, schedule release. What did you think of the few draft videos that you saw from social media? Because it feels like to me that's become the star of the NFL schedule release, and really the only thing that's been very intriguing about the schedule release at this point.
Yeah, because like you know you get most of like the major games. I don't think there was any like. I think the top three were the Jaguars, the Chargers, and the Titans.
Right.
The Jaguars did like a full like acting thing.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I did not see the Jaguars video. I have only seen Titans and Jags. Or gotcha. Titans and Chargers, I should say.
Chargers, yeah. Chargers did another anime intro, which like with a little bit of anime knowledge, like is great. I'm surprised at how many that they actually like referenced and like were actually. It wasn't just like very surface level stuff.
Yeah, no, I went over my head.
So that was great. The fucking pot shots at all the teams that they were facing. That's
what I'm there for. It's great.
Yes, the just complete. This word gets thrown around a lot by children, but how savage it was,
right,
was fucking great. And then, I mean, come on, the Titans was one of the funniest things.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's so simple. Like it compared, like you compare with the Titans did, the Chargers did, it's completely different like levels of creativity and levels of like of different types of like productions, right? But you can't deny how much fun it is to talk to people who don't really know what this stupid league is about.
Yep.
And like, because I'm not. This is not me saying like, oh, they're dumbasses for not knowing. Like, again, a good majority of people have no idea, and that's totally fine. It is just funny when you do put them on the spot to try to figure out what a team name, what the team names of these based off of these logos. It's very funny. I love that the Falcons then call themselves one of the names that when the person in the video was trying to figure out what the Falcons were, they said the Red Stallions and then did Roar for some reason. Yep. And the Falcons changed their Twitter name to Red Stallions. I thought that was very good. Multiple times the Colts were accused of being the Cowboys. Thought that was hilarious.
Chester Cheeto
for the Jaguars was very funny.
Not even the name of the character.
No, not at all. And then I think my favorite was still the Eagles from Pittsburgh Seahawks logo.
Seahawks logo.
Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. So I commend those people for putting them for trying their best on the spot to do that, and I commend the Titans team for coming up with the idea. That was perfect. They did a very good job. Yeah, so the schedule was, I this is maybe the least hyped I've been about an NFL schedule. Again, just because, disconnected from the whole thing, not really as invested in it. But what do you know?
What's the craziest part?
Go ahead.
Is the like whoever like decided on this. I don't know if they need a raise. I think they need like a simultaneous raise and pay cut, where like one of their checks gets slashed and then the other one gets boosted.
Sure.
They end up making the same amount, but
they
deserve it to be moved around a little bit. Fucking scheduling the Jaguars in London 2 weeks in a row.
Oh yeah. So I would imagine that they're not gonna. The Jaguars are not gonna fly back to the U.S.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like that would be like that. Now, Urban Meyer would do that. He would fly the Jaguars back
100%. 100%. Doug Peterson's got it under control now.
Yeah, Peterson's got it under control. But so that's cool that they're like testing that out, and that they had enough foresight and smart enough foresight to like make sure that it's back to back.
Yeah, those are the only
Still
two
wild,
London games too, right?
No, there's one more. Ravens Titans.
Okay. Yeah, because
I think it's Chiefs and Dolphins. I think in Germany.
Yeah, so there was I think one more Frankfurt one.
Yeah, there's one more Germany one.
Yeah, no, I mean it's interesting, and look, I think it's been kind of clear that the Jaguars love London, and London kind of loves the Jaguars. A lot of Jaguars fans in London, and that's because of the fact that they always are playing there, and so it makes sense. And I respect that from I respect that. It's going to be interesting if 1 year the Jaguars just decide let's go over to London permanently. I think that's still going to happen at some point. The one notable thing, I mean, so like the Thanksgiving games where you have the Packers faces the Lions. I think that's the first time the Packers have faced the Lions on Thanksgiving in a while, right? Or did they do it last year? I forget.
I do forget. All right. It might have been last year. It might not have been.
Yeah, so they're doing that. They have Commanders and Cowboys, and again, thank God they're not called what they used to be called, the Commanders. For that specific holiday, playing on that holiday.
Yep.
And then
happened before.
Right. And then I think it's Seahawks and 49ers were the primetime event for Thanksgiving. And then they have a Black Friday game where it's Dolphins and Jets. That's a new thing. So that's cool. They have a triple header for Christmas again on a Monday, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing I wanted to just talk about real quick. Who crazy ass motherfucker in the league office thought the Lions at Chiefs was a amazing idea? Because I think it is.
I want to give them a raise.
I think it is a crazy and amazing idea, and I kind of love it. But I'm like, wow, they really are doing it. They really chose that over the Eagles and Chiefs. I mean, I guess maybe there's a bidding war. Maybe another network decided to pay more money for Eagles and Chiefs, which is fine. But I'm just surprised for that marquee kickoff event. You got the Detroit Lions for Thursday.
If the Lions win this fucking game, the entire league is going to explode.
I would love it, man. I'm
predicting that to be the case. Just so you know.
Okay, all right. I'll make a note of it.
Team Chaos.
Your first Team Chaos of the 2023 year. Man. I'm like. It's a wild choice, but I guess like to me, I look at it as the Lions. They were fun last year. The fact that they got so close to the playoffs and lost, they didn't lose them last week. That was the great thing, was that the Packers were going to be in the playoffs and then the Lions won over them, and that was a glorious thing. But it's just a shame that we did not get them in the playoffs. And usually when you have a matchup like this, they like having two playoff teams, where it's the Super Bowl winner and then whoever was in the playoffs the previous year. They usually have them as the other opponent. So the fact that they were like, you know what? We believe in the Lions. We're putting the Lions in primetime Thursday Night Football.
Mm-hmm.
That's a wild approach. And I respect it. It's gonna be very, very interesting to see how the Lions do in that big first game. That's a big litmus test out of the gate. All right, that's all I really wanted to say about the schedule and pretty much everything that was important in the news. So let's take a break, and when we come back, it's time for our likability rankings.
Sick of talking about video games with people who just want to be toxic? Me too. So join us over at the Gaming Coop. We come together each month to talk about what we love about video games. Discussion topics range from our favorite soundtracks to the best relationships between characters. We also have some fun segments in which we play some trivia or build our school of gaming. Find us on Anchor or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Game on!
And we are back. By the way, side note, you may notice that there's no more Anchor ads. It's because of the shift from Anchor to Spotify for podcasters, the change in name. We are no longer eligible to earn money with this podcast, which is fair, I guess. They want like a specific amount of viewers or listeners and metrics to be hit for you to get that amount. So you no longer get an Anchor ad. Instead, you get a Gaming Coop badge for this podcast, which is fine. That podcast is still around, still very good. You should listen to it. Anyways, let's do it. The NFL likability rankings. Matt, you and I talked before this episode. We took two different approaches to this.
By that, I mean I completely misunderstood what Chris asked me.
But you know what? Again, I like it. I like that we're going to do it in this way. Because I think that no matter what, none of these rankings are finalized. It's just good. This is just what they are right now. I think it's gonna be a fun conversational piece, because I think it's also ties into how I approach my fandom and how you approach your fandom, where you are very passionate about the teams that you love, and I'm not as passionate for various reasons. I don't know why. It's just I just
because you don't like to give in to the capitalistic overlords.
That's not true, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure I have given into some capitalistic stuff, but I definitely am someone that like so let's just explain. So for me, how I approached this assignment was, as an NFL fan, unbiasedly, where are the teams that I am looking forward to watching next year? And who are the ones I'm not as much looking forward to watch this year, in terms of how much I enjoy watching them play, is really where that was the crux of how I approached likability. Like, are they going to be fun to watch, or at the very least, are they going to be fun to root for, versus a team that I just don't think is going to be at all fun to root for? Matt, you took it as just straight up 1 to 32. What is your favorite team to your least favorite team? Right, is that correct?
Yep, and that's pretty much the case. And when you phrase it that way specifically, my thing is pretty similar to that.
Right, and I think if you tie, at the end of the day, it depends on how much you tie fandom into it. And I think for you, it's a huge part of it, and for me, it's not as much. That doesn't mean that any one way is like better than the other. It is just that there's some people who have like who are only going to enjoy their team and the teams that they have invested in, and there's others that are just more so like I'm kind of like I'm kind of agnostic in some ways, where I'm not going to invest too heavily in a team. That being said, like for me, the Giants being my favorite team, I think part of what I factored in with the Giants was just kind of like, well, am I going to really enjoy watching them? And the answer is almost always no, because I'm scared. I'm scared watching the Giants at almost every cost, because I'm just like, I feel like they're going to become a laughingstock at any point. Like, anything could happen. Like one shoe is going to drop, and then the whole avalanche is going to happen. And so that's so I think for me, in some ways, fandom does tie into a factor for me, I guess, at the same time. So let's dive into it. The way we did it was that Matt and I separately made 1 to 32 lists, and then we added the rankings together, and we're going to do it golf scoring wise. So essentially, if a team gets placed first in both lists, that will be 1 point each for that team, and they would get 2 points. If a person gets 10, if one person ranks a team at number 10 and another at 20, together that would be 30 points for that team. And again, you want the lower score on the likability ranking ultimately.
Yep.
So, without any further ado, let's reveal number 32. A resounding 64 points. The max amount of points that you can unfortunately earn in this exercise goes to the Cleveland Browns.
May I?
You may. Just because we're no longer calling you the Starfish doesn't mean we can like you. that's just because that exercise has worn out its welcome does not mean we will begin to root for your team at this point. Number 31 at 59 points is the Kansas City Chiefs. And I gotta say, like, Matt, you ranked them at number 29. I ranked them at 30. And I think for me, when I think about the Chiefs, it's like, I like a lot of the players on the team. Like, I like Mahomes. I like Kelsey.
I like Andy Reid.
Like, it's nothing against them, per se. It's just more so, like, you've won 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years or so. It's now we're gonna start. If you start entering Patriots territory, it's gonna be harder to root for you every single year because you've already
more likable than the Patriots. But
sure,
I want other teams to win, especially with how good the AFC is right now.
Yep.
100%. I want to see more.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 30 with 55 points is the Commanders. Makes sense. I actually had the Commanders at 25. Where you had them at 30.
Yeah, I mean they're just not that interesting of a team. I hope that they do get better.
Yeah, I
the sale will help that, I'm sure. But
I guess it's just like I always keep on putting faith in that team that their defense is so talented on paper. Their offense looks actually pretty good on paper. Like the team does not like the NFC East as a whole does not look bad at all. Like it's a lot of great teams that I think will just eat each other up, and I guess that for me, the Commanders are just higher in that instance where I'm like, oh, they could be a fun team to watch in some regard because they did like get 7 wins last year. Like it wasn't like a terrible season for them, and I think they didn't really like go bad or anything. Like I'm forgetting the regress. They didn't regress. I don't think in the off season, per se. But yeah, I'm with you. It's just they still have a little bit of Dan Snyder stink on them, and that also plays a factor. Number 29, the Patriots, 53 points. Patriots for you, Matt, were 25. I had them at 28. Yeah, kind of still like they just still reek of what they used to be. But they're also just kind of like the most boring of the AFC East teams, I think.
They're not a fun team to watch either. No. Like the way that they construct their team, really great defense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Holy shit, Mac Jones is not
the answer.
Yeah.
Number 28, the Cardinals. Kind of surprised to see Cardinals up this high. I had them at 31, but you had them at 22. So what about the Cardinals for you that you feel like moves them higher up the list?
In terms of fandom a little bit, I still do enjoy them. I think they're going to be the worst team in the league this year.
Sure.
But I do still think that they've got some decent elements to them.
Right.
When they're on, they are on, and I really, really enjoy that.
100%. And I rate them low because I'm like, I just think they're going to be bad, and it's going to be hard for me to watch them this year. The Jets at number 26 with 48 points, tied with the Denver Broncos. So that's our first tie of the rankings thus far. For the Jets, I had them at 27. Where do you have it? You had 21.
I had 21.
Yeah, I putting the Jets this low feels very mean of me because I've always been someone that likes Jets. Jets are like my number 2 team. Like I've always liked the Jets and I've always wanted to root for them. I just think Aaron Rodgers has just this air of.
How would you feel if he was poopy? If he sucked.
I would feel terrible for Jets fans, but not much beyond that.
Okay.
I like, and that's the thing. It's just kind of like
I would laugh like a lot.
Yeah, like I feel for the Jets organization. They've been put into a hole. They've been put into a spot where they had to do this because they're in a win now state. They want to win now, and Aaron Rodgers is that guy that you go for if you need to win now. I just think Aaron Rodgers is a dick, and so I just don't. It makes me not like the team a lot. In that regard. That being said, though, holy shit, would I be so thrilled and happy for Jets fans if they win the Super Bowl this year? Would be totally happy with that. It is just Rodgers' aura to me just does not vibe with me at all. And then the Broncos, we both actually had them ranked the Broncos ranked at 24, and therefore that led to a 48 points for the Broncos. I think this has everything to do with it. Russell Wilson, right?
So he could be better. I've never been a huge Broncos fan at all.
Right,
like I've never been a Broncos supporter.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of naturally low for me. But you know, Russ turned it around at the end of the year. I think Nathaniel Hackett's just that bad. By the way, on the Jets now, has the possibility to do the funniest thing of all time.
That's the thing. Like, it's gonna be interesting because I feel like it was more Wilson than Hackett. I think because I think
you know what I think it was.
What's that?
I think it was Hackett letting Wilson do whatever he wanted.
I think that's the thing. I think that's the key. Because Hackett has been complimented for being an offensive coordinator. Like, he was that Jaguars 2017 guy. He was the offensive coordinator for, I think, at least one of Aaron Rodgers' MVP seasons. Like, he's done good work in the league. It's just I don't think he's a good head coach. And I think that ultimately him being so hands-off potentially is maybe what gave him such a bad look and what reason why he was fired. I will also say probably a reason why he was fired in the first year was a change in ownership too. Like, that's also a factor sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's definitely a fascinating team. And I just don't have like a ton of confidence in them that they're going to be that exciting. Another tie at number 24, the Raiders and the Steelers, both with 47 points. Steelers for you, Matt, were 28. I had the Steelers all the way up to 19.
I don't like the Steelers. I just think that they're dumb and stinky.
I liked what the Steelers did this offseason, specifically in the draft, and I'm rooting for them it's kind of it's weird because I like how I feel about them is how almost I feel about the Packers, where now that the shitty quarterback person is gone, like, they're more interesting, and I
definitely agree with that. I think my opinion on the Steelers is going to go up the further we get away from Ben time.
Right. That's where I'm at as well. And then the Raiders, I had the Raiders at 21, and you had them at 26. So neither of us super high on the Raiders. I think this has everything to do with, like, I mean, it could be fun with Jimmy G, but do we trust Josh McDaniels is the thing.
Nope.
Not at all. Number 23 is the Titans at 45. I think I had the Titans pretty low at 23. And you had, I'm sorry, at 22, and you were at 23 with the Titans.
Yep, about the same.
Yeah, so I think for me it's like they've kind of regressed in my eyes. It feels like this is not a team that's built to win now, and it seems like they're still willing to have Tannehill on their roster, Henry on their roster. Not that they're bad players at all, but just more so, like, why not try to put them in better situations on other teams at this point? And so I just don't know if they're going to be that exciting, and so that likability factor is kind of lower, even though I do think they have likable players.
For sure.
Number 22 is the Green Bay Packers with 44 points. Packers for you, Matt, 31, and I had them at I had them at 13. So that is one of our biggest gaps, I think.
So listen, growing up as a Bears fan, every fucking Packers game, whenever I watch it, gave me a sense of dread, and that has continued even when they sucked.
Mm-hmm.
I hate watching the Packers so much.
Yeah, that's fair, man. I get it. I definitely like the Packers. I like the Packers when Aaron Rodgers didn't reveal that he was an anti-vaxxer. Like that era of the Packers I enjoyed a lot more. But I think right now they're back up into my list of like, I will want to root for this team if everything goes to plan, because I think that they have some exciting parts, and they have and overall, like, it's not like the Packers are dying for a championship at all, but there's just something about this small town in Wisconsin that has this football team. It's just their whole identity, that it's fun for me to root for them. And also the cheese mascot. I gotta be real, the reason I like the Packers is because of the cheese. Come on,
Chris, you're killing me. You're breaking my heart.
That is literally the only reason why I like the Packers in any capacity.
You're breaking my heart.
Is the cheese thing. It's really it. Just gotta be honest.
Don't worry, cheese. Every Packers fan who lives in Illinois will let you know that they're a Packers fan.
I'm a big fan of mozzarella and Gouda, and
it's all about the fucking cheddar there, Chris.
Cheddar's good. Cheddar's good. I don't like super sharp cheddar though.
That's fair.
But I do like the flavor of cheddar. All right, so that's that. The Rams are at 21. I have the Rams really low. I had them at 29. Where did you have the Rams? Oh, you had it at 14. So you are much lower on the Rams. Or I'm much lower on the Rams than
you're
you
much
are.
Lower.
Yeah. So what's
I am taking last year's injury palooza out of it. I think that the Rams will be fun to watch again. Pretty fun to watch again.
Yeah.
And pretty enjoyable once Stafford and Cup and everyone's back.
Yeah. I guess in retrospect, I'm not sure why I have the Rams as low as they are. I guess it is just kind of coming off of a season where, man, it all went so terribly to shit, and I'm just not entirely confident that things are going to like immediately turn back around. There's an intrigue to them for sure, but it's just kind of like, and plus they did win the Super Bowl recently, and so it's just one of those things where I'm not like eager to see the Rams team rise from the dead now. It's just kind of like, all right, like they just don't do much for me right now. But I do like a lot of the players on that team, so that could easily turn around for me. The Buccaneers at 20 with 41 points. Bucks for you were at 15. I had them at 26. That's another big disparity between us. I think for me it's just more so I just don't know what this team's really going to be next year. I think I may have had them a little bit high. Yeah. It's just one of those things where, like, okay, you're gonna have Baker Mayfield be your quarterback. Sure, I mean, we'll see if it works for you, but
Chris, don't disrespect Kyle Trask.
Well, right. Well, well, it certainly feels like they're running out Baker Mayfield first and foremost. We'll see if Kyle Trask does anything, but yeah, like the Bucs still have some likable players, but it just doesn't feel the same without having the Brady there. Granted, they would probably be much lower if Brady was on the team still, but it's not like they have like this exciting option per se, but it's a wide open NFC South. Number 19, the Houston Texans. You have them at 27. I have them all the way up at 12.
Really?
I really enjoy the fact that this team feels different already. I like the fact that they hired D'Amico Ryans. And I love the move that they did where they were like, boom, boom, we're going 2 franchise players out of the gate. And I don't know if they're going to be good this year, but I also think they have been relatively surprisingly competitive despite putting up like shitty records. And I feel like under D'Amico Ryans, I think that this team could be a little surprise candidate to like make some splashes here and there. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. It's too deep of an AFC to, I think, let that happen, but I think that this team is kind of starting to have this building blocks of like, oh, this team actually could be have a future here after it felt so dismal for so long. And so I'm really excited to see where the Texans are. Like they intrigue me, and they're back at a point where like they're as likable as they were when back when we didn't think that Deshaun Watson was a bad person.
Yeah, I do like CJ Stroud too. So I think
yeah.
The
next up is Cowboys at 18. I think we're pretty similar here. You had the Cowboys at 18 as well. I had them at 20.
This is the team that I was surprised how high they were.
Yeah,
on my list. I like a lot of Cowboys players. I don't like them as an organization, and it's really funny to shit on them.
Right.
But also, like, if they succeed, I'm not upset.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Number 17. The New York Giants. You have them at 13.
I do.
I have them at 23.
You really hate watching Giants games that much?
I don't know, man. I think they had a fine offseason. I don't think it was a great offseason. The more I sit with the whole Daniel Jones thing, the more I kind of feeling shitty, if I'm being honest. But hey, maybe he does work out for them. That would be great. I think this organization, and specifically John Mara, really love Eli Manning. Like, have an obsession with the dude to the point where they're like, well, this kid's like Eli Manning. That means we could win 2 Super Bowls with this guy against the Patriots. We could just do it again. And I don't think that they realize that that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so that's, for me, I look, I love Daboll, and I loved what he did this past year. And so maybe this team can really be great. But like, I don't find Daniel Jones or the Giants as a team to be a very likable organization. Mainly because they've had so many Super Bowls already, and on top of that, I just don't find them at all, like, their roster super exciting. I don't think they did.
Yeah.
Like Darren Waller was, I think, like the most exciting thing they did this offseason. Darren Waller is great. I don't know. It just doesn't. I'm not there with the Giants right now. A little bit off the hype. Right, I'm off the hype of what the this past January was, which was incredible. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking that for granted. That was great. I'm a little soured on it right now. That's all. The Falcons sit at 16 with 33 points. Kind of surprised with how critical we were of the Falcons, that the Falcons are in the top half of this likability rankings.
I just think they draft dumbly.
Yeah.
I think that there's still they're a solid enough team most of the time, not recently. I still really hold on to, I think the reason they're high is how their 2016 season.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have them at 16, you have them at 17. I think I also think that as much as we're like critical of them, and there's a lot of intrigue around them, and that any team that has a lot of intrigue, I think, can automatically move into like that likability range. And I think if things work, if they have the talent that they seem to have going on for them, and it all works, and Desmond Ritter works out, and all that, like, then this is gonna be a fun team to watch, and they could be very exciting. But yeah, it's just a lot of just question marks right now. Number 15, another team I'm very surprised is as high as it is, the Indianapolis Colts. But granted, that's maybe my fault. I did put them at number 11.
Jesus. The Colts are like the most milquetoast team to me, personally.
I guess it's Anthony Richardson for me.
If Anthony
and Jonathan
Richardson,
Taylor.
If Anthony Richardson is like hits the ceiling, the Colts are going to be fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Until then, they're toast with butter.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the state of Indiana in general, to be honest.
Right.
But
there's nothing good happens in Indiana.
But like,
I'm sorry, Indiana. I'm from Illinois. You know how it is.
I'm from New York. I have no excuse. Anyways, Shane Steichen, I just feel like everything that I've heard about him is like through the roof. People absolutely love this guy, and they're super, super stoked that he is the head coach of this team. And I feel like with having a project like Richardson, who might not even be much of a project, like he might be able to start week 1. Like, I just really like the idea that this offense is going to be an exciting one to watch and one that's going to be hard to like get rid of. I get though that it is not like the most exciting roster. Like I understand that for sure, but I don't know. I guess I also have always just had the affinity for the AFC South. It's the one that everyone like wants to shit on constantly, and I'm just kind of like, I like a lot of the teams in the AFC South. I really don't have much of an issue with them.
I like one team a lot of the AFC South.
Right. We'll talk about that in
like the Colts also will just naturally always be lower for me because they're the ones that beat the Bears in the Super Bowl.
That's true. I forgot about that aspect. Number 14, the Saints sitting at 30. That's because I give them 14 points. And
I did 16.
16,
pretty
yeah,
close.
okay. Yeah,
pretty close.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
They're interesting. They're an interesting team this year. They still have leftover talent, and they have Derek Carr as a quarterback who just feels a little bit better of an option right now, but we'll see. I mean, ultimately I think what's his face is going to be on the hot seat. What's the head coach of the Saints? I'm now going to forget his name. Oh no.
I'm not going to help you.
Oh,
he's got two first names.
Oh no.
Dennis Allen.
Thank you, Dennis Allen. I
couldn't let you flounder for too long.
Completely lost me there. Tied for 12th is the Dolphins and Eagles, both at 28 points. That makes sense. I think Dolphins and Eagles are both really interesting, really fun. The Eagles I had at 18 points. You had them at 10 points. That was the one that earlier I was like, oh, I'm surprised about. But I'm like, that's true though. Matt really likes the Eagles. I forgot about that.
So I was not like before this season. I was not an Eagles fan. This season made me an Eagles fan.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really exciting, fun roster and fun team to watch overall. And I think the Dolphins, which I have at 9, and you had a 19, so we actually had a massive difference there. I think with the Dolphins, for me, it's like they have so many pieces that it's going to be really exciting to see how the season goes and how Tua plays. And like, we saw sparks of this Dolphins team being actually like a lot better than we expected, and now they're at a point where they're one of the contenders in the AFC, and I just find them very fascinating on that front. What did you find like that you were kind of lower on?
I knocked them down mostly because of shitty organization.
But that's a good idea.
That's
a good point. Good point, though.
But they're still fun to watch. I do like them.
Yes, as an on-field product, they're fun. As an ownership group, that also has a little bit of a stink to it. Number 11, the Vikings, sitting at 27 points. I had them ranked at 15. You had them at 12. So yeah, not much difference between the two of us. They're fine. They have a good offense. And that's about it.
Yeah.
All right, now we get to the top 10. Starting with the 49ers, 25 points. Gotta love a team that's weird. That's weird but good, you know? You got a great running game. You got a good defense. 49ers for me are at 17. You are at 8, so you're much higher on the 49ers than I am, but I also do... I like the 49ers fine.
I like the way that the 49ers like have been running their team. I've been weird on the 49ers the past couple seasons, and even like the last... I think last maybe month of the regular season into the playoffs, I like shot up my 49ers enjoyment.
Yeah, well, that might also have something to do with Christian McCaffrey being traded to the 49ers.
Listen, it's not just because of that.
I know.
I don't want to idolize any specific NFL player who I don't know specific details about, and I'll leave it at that.
Absolutely. And so then we have the Chargers at number 9. You had them at 11. I had them at 7. That was 18 points overall. I want the Chargers to be good. It's so weird what an organization the Chargers are, man. And granted, like, should they be ranked lower because their organization just abandoned San Diego to move like a little bit north? Yes, there's shits for that, absolutely. But the team with Justin Herbert is so exciting and fun to watch. I want so badly for the Chargers to
oh my god,
get over the hump, and it just sucks. It just sucks that they keep on falling apart. Like that wildcard loss was insane.
I really like Kellen Moore as an OC ad, and I think that like the fact that in the draft like their first round pick was a wide receiver shows that they are so deep. They're another team. If they stay healthy the entire season, they're going to be so fucking good.
Right, 100%. Next up, the number 8, the Seahawks at 13 points. I have them all the way up at number 4 for me.
Nice.
You have them at 9, so we're both top 10 on the Seahawks.
Yeah, it was really close for the Seahawks for me. I really like the Seahawks. I think that they are they're a fun team, especially like with how bad we thought they were going to be.
Yes.
Last season, the fact that they are, like now. Well, NFC's weak, but playoff contenders is really awesome.
100%. I love it. I just love the story of that Geno Smith turned his career around after this amazing year, and maybe he keeps on playing really, really well. And I think they did get better on both sides of the ball, and so it's gonna be super, super exciting overall. Number 7, the Carolina Panthers, sitting at 12 points. Of course, for Matt, you had them at your number 2 spot. I had them at number 10. But ultimately a team that's likable because they now have Frank Reich and a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, let's fucking go Panthers, winners of the NFC South.
I think there's a strong possibility of that, I think, at this point. Number 6, the Ravens at 11 points. I had them ranked at 8. You had them ranked at 3. Ravens are fun. Ravens are always interesting. An interesting team that is always like you always wonder about their journey, and their last 2 seasons have been disappointing. I've really loved seeing that the Ravens have come together with Lamar and they're ready to embrace him fully, and Todd Monken as an offensive coordinator is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 5, the Buffalo Bills, with 9 points on the board. Bills, 4 points for you, Matt. 5 points for me. It's just like it's one of those contenders that you just like. It's hard not to root for them. I get why you wouldn't want to root for them, but it's just this like it's a town in Buffalo that has not seen any championships really in any of their sports, which is only 2. And so it's just nice to see this team be so much fun to watch, and you just hope that at some point they break through the mold and win a damn trophy.
Yeah, you saw last season. You saw a lot of felt like they were running against the wall a lot of times and like working against themselves. And I'm hoping that the additions that they've had will be able to take them over this hump. I really want to see this Bills team win a championship.
Yeah, 100%. All right, I'm gonna pause here for a second.
Okay.
Because we have a 3-way tie at second place.
Please tell me that. Actually, no. I know what the number 1 team is. Never mind.
So, well, I was gonna say, who do you think the number 1 team is?
Well, the problem is I already saw it.
Oh, you did see it. Oh, that's true.
I saw it.
That's true. We had some technical issues.
Yeah,
we had some technical issues. I had to get your help on that. But we had a 3-way tie for second place then, and it was 3 cat teams tied together at second place. The Bengals, the Jaguars, and the Lions all have 8 points. The Lions were my number 1 on this list. You had them ranked at 7. The Jags, for you, were at 5. I had them at 3. And the Bengals, I had them at 2, and you had them at 6.
Yep. Especially up here, this was more related to like my favorite teams ranking, I think.
Yes, 100%. I recognize that for sure.
Yeah. But holy shit, I love all three of these teams for vastly different reasons.
Absolutely. I want this Cat Bowl to happen, man.
Cat Bowl, like Chris, we are getting so close to the point where a Cat Bowl is possible.
Absolutely.
Like the Lions and Panthers both need to like get over the hump still, but like the Jaguars feel like they're there, and the Bengals are there.
Yes, they
like,
were
it's
there.
So fucking exciting. They were there.
Yeah,
but they're still at that high level.
Right. Absolutely. I love all these teams. I think all of these could be playoff contenders, could be Super Bowl contenders, but at the same time,
nice off seasons for all of them.
And at the same time, they're all very likable in their own different ways. I really do like Joe Burrow a lot. I think he might be my favorite player right now in the league. If I'm being honest. Like it's just that organization as a whole, I feel like has completely changed their identity from one that didn't want to take any risks to one who is now taking risks because they know they can win now with Joe Burrow. It's so much fun to watch that team be so great. And then you have the Jaguars, who have Doug Peterson as a head coach now, and it showed that they can be a better team with a better coach. And of course, they have Trevor Lawrence, who is getting better every single year. I think he could have a chance to be lights out. And then the Lions, who I think every single move that they've made, yes, there's some questionable decisions with the draft. It happens, but like, I really still love this roster, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see that defense get better and to see the offense potentially continue to flourish like it did last year, because it was very good last year.
Yeah.
But should be no surprise that the number one team on the likability rankings is the Chicago Bears.
Where did you put them?
I had them at 6.
Okay.
So it's not far off. I mean, like, honestly, if we're talking, like, this would be the likability rankings if we were both on the same page about it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what it is. Like, I think I look at the Bears, and I'm not saying that they're a Super Bowl contender, but they're at a point where it's like they have Justin Fields. They're doing a lot of good work to build around him, and they have a lot of draft picks that they're going to hopefully use for the future. That, like, I feel very good about where the Bears organization is now, and I'm excited to see where they go. Let's just hope that the on-field product figures out a way to match that. And get to that point.
You saw a lot of improvement even over the course of last year. You know, the Bears did this crazy thing. I don't know if you've heard of it, Chris, where they adjust the offense to the quarterback's strengths.
Oh wow, man! We really should. We need more teams to take on that really innovative concept.
Right? Yeah. You know, this is this thing that like 4 years of Matt Nagy couldn't figure out. Right.
Right.
And then like you add like the thing with the Bears is like they had nothing last season.
No. Yeah.
Other than Justin Fields, right? And a run game. They were a great run game last year, but that's mostly just because Justin Fields had these fucking monster runs. They were great.
Yeah.
You add DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney comes back, Chase Claypool gets another year in the system. You really shore up that line. You shore up even like some great, maybe not great, but like some really solid defensive players in free agency. Granted, you know, a lot of bias here. I still think that the Bears had one of the best off seasons, and are probably the most. At least I'll say this: the most improved team.
Yeah,
from last season to this season, like number 1 overall pick, like worst record in the league last year. I think they are knocking on the playoffs this season.
I think the two most intriguing divisions this year are going to be the AFC South and the NFC North. I think even though the Jaguars seem like the clear favorite in their position, I feel like you could have something random happen with any of those other 3 teams, and stuff could happen and things could change. Whereas I look at the NFC North and I'm like I think the Lions are the favorite, but I could see any of these teams like going on a weird run.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, and I think the Bears would be my second place team right now in terms of the division.
I think so. I don't think that the Vikings were 100% a fluke.
No, they have a good offense
with what they were last season.
Yeah,
But I definitely, I think the Vikings are likely to regress.
Yes, 100%. You can't have that level of amount of wins and win the way they did. That was the main thing is winning how they did. Yeah, and I like the Packers has a very strong chance of being the worst team in the division, which I know would be very satisfying for you. But
100%.
But they also have a ton of talent, and what if Jordan Love is good? Like then it's like they're in the conversation at that point.
Yeah.
And so it's fascinating. It's all like you definitely have those two divisions. And I guess the NFC South is interesting in like a car crash kind of way, but that's been their bag for quite a few seasons now. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm very excited to see what this season's gonna be like. But the Chicago Bears, we are calling the most likable team between the two of us, anyway.
You're welcome, America.
You're welcome, America. All right. Well, thank you all. That was fun. I love doing these kinds of exercises. We should just do this randomly every once in a while. We'll rank like favorite fast food item or something next time.
Wow, almost like we're like one of the most uncreative podcasts. That makes us one of the most uncreative podcasts.
100%. Exactly. That's
no shade to like people who do that. I think it's a great like, especially like introductory thing to just like it's fun. There's this podcast. I'm not going to name who it is because I really don't want like this to be a negative thing.
Sure.
But they're like the most bog standard podcast like that you could possibly imagine. Imagine two guys on a microphone. The way that they talk is like every fucking podcast that you have ever heard.
Yeah.
It is weird how it is like capital P podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like these are just like random these are just like a way to move the off season along type topics for us. It's so if we have to become a capital P podcast for just to move the off season along, you know, we'll do it. I'm willing to give into the capitalist machine for that, you know. Just kidding. We're not making any money off of this podcast anymore.
No.
Anyways, so we're gonna I definitely want to figure out when we're gonna do our VBBFL draft, because that will be pretty much our next event, because now all the off-season events have ended essentially. There's nothing more interesting happening with the NFL. There will be news, I'm sure, but mainly the next big thing to have all eyes on football will be in August and going into September. So we're going to shift our focus now as a podcast from the NFL back to the VBFL, and the hope is that we'll be, next time you see us or hear from us, we're going to have a whole list of teams to talk in depth about as we march on to a full VBFL season, as a nice little summer league D&D or just tabletop gameplay session thing. Yeah. Matt, any final words? I
am gonna go play Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, I definitely want to let you go do that now. But thank you for taking time on the Zelda day to record with me today, and I very much wish everyone a happy Zelda weekend and a happy Mother's Day as well. And we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Good night and good ball. Virtual Ball Boys has been brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter at Virtual Ball Boys and find more of our work at Team Chaos Pods.